This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted today to be joined with Spencer Fearon on a nice Monday morning. We've just had a great weekend of boxing all up and down the from England and in the America as well. Other than that, how's things, mate? How are you?
I'm really good, you know. It was a very blessed weekend. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely for sure. I guess we'll just start off firstly with the card in America. Yeah, regardless of the fight, um, what did you make of the whole event overall? Obviously, sort of entertaining fights from top to bottom, capped off with a great performance by Eminem as well. So yeah, real exciting one on Saturday night.
it was a fantastic show um, on the weekend. Simply because if you are a purist of the sport, we saw the purity put out by both Madrimov and Terence Crawford. It was a very it was a really good fight. Um, Not two people want to see smash, grab, wallop. No, you're not. You wasn't going to get that. But I saw if you got an eye for intricate detail of skill, the skill demonstrated by both men was very high because um, they were both highly talented and highly skilled in their own right. But one was more rounded in brutality, in thuggery, but it was artful thuggery. And the other one was just a skilled technician. And if you understand what you're looking at, you're going to see just how good Terence Crawford is. But you can see that the weight played a part in it. You could see that.
Definitely, yeah. I guess we'll jump straight into Terence Crawford and Israil Madrimov. Yeah, from what you're saying there, I see a lot of people on Twitter that were saying, the fight struggled to catch fire and it wasn't sort of entertaining. But is it when you have two elite operators at what they do, it showed that, especially throughout the rounds, it was almost like they were both figuring each other out. And as you say, if you got an eye for skill, it was a real entertaining watch for on the purist side.
Um, I like to harp on, you know what I mean, Louis, about greats. And if you look at great matchups in the past, when two great men end up fighting each other, very rarely do you see a 1, 2, 3, 4 round knockout. Fights go longer because they are that more skilled and that more thoughtful and respectful to the other guy when they're not going out to look at because they respect the other man's talent. And that's what we saw on the weekend. I think a lot of stress is being aimed at Terence Crawford simply because Terence Crawford is a person that does these things his own way. I'm glad that he's getting financially rewarded right now off of the back of things. But I'm going to be honest with you, maybe somewhere in Terence Crawford's mind, even though he's not going to maybe openly admit it, but maybe he took Magnum off a little bit lightly, just because coming off a fantastic win over someone who's in the top 10 pound for pound in Errol Spence, not doing anything inside but retaining the adulation,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, eventually it's going to get to you. And I think maybe everything that's happened for him within the last year could have kind of got to him a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I believe so. But what I do know, he's a consummate professional. And I see a lot of people, I'm just going to be real, the commentary on by the guys at the zone, right? Chris Mannix, Sergio Mora, I thought it was very biased. I sometimes looking at this, I'm saying,
Yeah, I
do they
agree.
understand? Especially, I was kind of shocked by Mora because I'm saying especially you guys understand the finer artistry of boxing. Well, you're meant to, because you kind of honed yourself from being a skillster when you boxed, right? So I didn't quite rightly understand how they were scoring it for Magnomov. Magnomov was in the fight, no doubt, but the subtleties of brilliance that was demonstrated continuously by Terence Crawford, even though Terence Crawford got hit with hard shots. Do you know what I mean? And sucked it up as well. You know what I mean? Thank God for Sean Ty Porter. Thank God for him. Seriously. Because Sean knows. Sean, here's a man who You know what I mean? Here's a man that's a multifaceted guy who's represented his country in the amateurs, become a was it two-time world champion, three-time world champion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's the only one that got it. And even more so, he'd have the more authority to speak about it because he's the man that's been in with Terence Crawford. You know what I mean? So when I was saying like, oh, they're giving this round to Madrimov, Madrimov was coming with one shot, hard shot. The continuity of work was actually come from Terence Crawford. That's why I had Terence Crawford winning. I don't think it's very, very difficult. After beating Errol Spence in the manner of how he beat Errol Spence, it's like you're in a hiding to nothing now. Anything he does now, we're gonna be so critical. I'm not one of those because I appreciate Terence Crawford. I regard him a friend, and I also think that he's a fantastic boxer.
When it comes to Crawford, you could say about all the elite fighters, especially when they get to this position. Do you feel like sometimes the inactivity that he does could catch up with him? You know, it was he fought once in 2023. You know, as far as I'm aware, I don't think he'll fight again this year. Fought once in 22, once in 21, once in 20. Like these sort of 5 fights in 4 years. Do you think that will sort of end up catching up to him?
Bottom line is this: I don't believe that it will catch up with him because, like when I'm saying to you, he's a consummate professional. You don't hear no stories of Terence Crawford going out, partying, getting drunk. You don't hear any stories of him living some crazy life. You know what I mean? He's a dedicated father, and you got to give Terence Crawford all the respect, all the props and credit in the world. So when people say, "Oh, well, he's not fighting regularly enough," and then that how old's Terence Crawford now? 35?
36. 36,
right,
yeah.
So he's 36 now. At 36, you got to follow the blueprint of Floyd Mayweather now and be fighting at those times. But whereas he's in the gym and he's constantly working, I don't believe that him not fighting as regularly. We'd like to see him fight more regularly. Yeah, everyone's talking about this Canelo fight, right? But they're judging the Madrimov fight to how Terence Crawford perform against Canelo. I want people to realize this part here, right? And they say, "Oh, the weight and this and all the rest of it." No, I want people to realize Madrimov is a very, very good fight. 300 amateur fights, winning championships in amateurs and everything. Madrimov is really good, right? I just want people to know that Madrimov ain't no joke. And alhamdulillah, when I was watching him, well, Madrimov is really good. And I see Eddie Hearn, because I didn't really watch a lot of Madrimov. I only see like a couple of snippets of him. I didn't really take in on him, right? And I really wish that I did because I would have been more apprehensive, right? About how I was calling that fight. Because Madrimov is really good and he's going to be a handful for anyone. But, and this is the thing, Terence Crawford come up from lightweight, right? So, and he's moved up some 18 pounds in weight, right? When we watch Terence Crawford, right? When we watch Terence Crawford and how he fights, I harper back to when other guys who were welterweight champions, who were undisputed welterweight champions, Sugar Leonard at the time wasn't undisputed welterweight champion, but he was the WBC champ, and he moved up in weight to fight a man called Ayab Kulule. Ayab Kulule was a really good fighter. Go, you young kids, go check. He was a good fighter. It was a southpaw as well, very strong, tough. I think he's originally from Uganda, but ended up in Denmark, right? Tough, strong man. And Sugar Leonard went up against him for his WBA junior middleweight title, right? And it wasn't the best Sugar Ray Leonard in his performance, right? But Sugar Ray Leonard just said, "You know what? I'm going to knock you out," right? And he stood with this man and battled with him toe to toe. And eventually, round 9, Leonard knocks him out. And this is the thing where Terence Crawford was trying these kind of things, but he said, "Well, you know what? I've got to be smart here because this guy can bang. No one can't tell him. Madrimov can punch, bro." Right? And he said, "Right, I got to do what I have to do." And he did what he had to go do. And he came out successful and he got the win. Now, all these people now jumping online saying, "Oh, Terence Crawford, you need to forget about Canelo and all of this." Listen, the major thing in boxing is to test yourself, right? A lot of people are not testing themselves. And because they're not testing themselves, the sport has become frail and it's become a bit dry, right? So all credit has to be given to his excellent Turkey Al-Sheikh, who say, you know what, I'm a boxing fan. I want to see the best fights. That's it. I want to see the best go and fight the best, and I want to respect the integrity of boxing for what it was, right? In the 50s, what it was in the 40s, in the 30s, when the best happened to fight the best, right? That's what's happening now. Let's appreciate the time now, and let's appreciate the fact that Terence Crawford wants to challenge himself, not only for the financial rewards, but he wants to challenge himself to say, I want to go up against the best. So if it is him versus Canelo, then so be it. I'd like to see that fight all the same.
Definitely. Just before we do get on to sort of that potential Canelo fight, you mentioned there about Madrimov, and do you think it is one of these ones where, like, later down the line, let's say 3 or 4 years later, this win will really be appreciated for Crawford because we know how good Madrimov could be?
Bro, let me tell you this, Luke. Madrimov's coming right back. Madrimov is gonna win world titles. I like the guy as well. Very humble guy.
Yeah.
I like the guy a lot. He's gonna come back. He's gonna win world titles, right? Because he's got an entertaining style. It's just that he was up against Terence Crawford. That is a win.
Definitely, yeah. And there, Mitch, about that Crawford Canelo fight. So from what you're saying is, because there is a lot of people saying, 154 is Crawford's ceiling. You still sort of think, as you say, you would still bat on the drum after that for the Canelo fight. If he's having tough fights against it.
No, but the reason why he's having tough fights against Madrimov, because Madrimov is a bloody good fighter. All right?
Yeah.
And seriously, and it's like we've been spoilt to see Terence Crawford do so much brilliant work that all of a sudden he fights a guy and we're thinking, ooh, we're not too sure. Styles make fights. This is the game. Styles make fights. And I'm saying more than ever now, we have to look and say, what style is Terence Crawford going to bring up against Canelo, right? It wouldn't be easy for Terence Crawford, but I respect any man that relishes a challenge, right? And it's not even the case like he's daring to be great, because I'm telling you now, Terence Crawford is already great, right? He just like wants to just put the little bit of
cherry on top.
Cherry on top, and I believe. You know what I mean? I'm not going to knock anyone who's going after their own greatness and they're trying to champion their life. And that's what Terence Crawford is trying to do.
Yeah, definitely. Away from the main event, a guy that almost stole all the headlines in that LA card is Martin Bakole stopping Jared Anderson inside 5 rounds. Just your thoughts on that performance from Bakole against Anderson.
Bro, I'm sure I said on your channel, Lou, that
there
is no way that... Seriously, there is no way that Gerard Anderson can beat Martin Bakole. Martin Bakole is the real deal, right? And Martin Bakole is a throwback fighter, right? And spare me that he's 31 years old, right? Spare me that nonsense. Martin Bakole is older than me, bro, right? But the thing with Martin Bakole, the guy can fight, right? Martin Bakole can fight. He can really fight. And the thing what I like about him, he is like a throwback 70s heavyweight. Look how he puts his punches together, right? Look how seriously, it's like, you young kids out here, I want you to go and watch a man. I want you to go and watch a man called Jimmy Ellis, right? Who was a former WBA heavyweight champion, right? In 1968, he became a WBA world champion. I want you to go and watch Jimmy Ellis. Right? I want you to go and watch a George Foreman, a young George Foreman, not the old George Foreman, right? I want you to watch a bit of Ken Norton. And when you look, there is something about Martin Bakole that encapsulates all of those good men of the 70s. He's one of those guys. He is. And the way I was saying to you, I said he's got very, very good punch dexterity, right? And he understands, he's got punch intelligence as well. Really, really good fighter. And I remember when the fight was mooted and I spoke to Spencer Brown and I said, Spencer, are you sure about that fight? I said, that's not a good fight for him, mate. And he goes, well, it's happening, Spence, it's happening, right? And I was like, bro, and I waited for the announcement. I paid Spencer the respect. I said, I'm going to wait for the announcement. As soon as the announcement came out, I rang James Prince. I rang James Prince, and I said, Jay, seriously, listen to me, man. As your little nephew, listen to me. That ain't a good fight for Gerard Anderson, bro. Right? And he chuckled. You know what? I just worked it. I think Jay Prince has got too much money, you know? Yeah, man, you're very wealthy, man. You got too much money. He's like, yeah, don't worry, man. It's good. No, man. I didn't like that fight. And this is the arrogance of Americans. Americans are so arrogant that they think, he's just some African living in Scotland. They don't respect anyone over in the UK. I'm saying, well, you got to respect this guy. You got to put some respect on his name. The way that he, trust me, a very, very serious fighter, and he's a problem, man. And we potentially could be looking at a future world champion.
Definitely. Yeah. I was going to say that about the matchmaking, like with Jared Anderson being 24. As you say, you do have to question the whole reason of taking this fight against a guy like Bakole. And if it pays, if it comes off, it looks great. But on this aspect, it hasn't looked good. And it looked like a major mistake from Top Rank and everyone involved.
A major mistake by Top Rank and everybody involved. This is what I'm trying to say, right? It's America and the disrespect that they have for the UK. Yeah. Right? Because the world and his brothers, listen, anybody with us, like, we don't really need that. You know what they were looking at? They're looking at, but he lost to Michael Hunter. And everyone knows that Michael Hunter on his day can be problems for anyone, but he lost to Michael Hunter. And we believe that you're a bigger prospect than Michael Hunter. So therefore, you know what I mean? Oh, he lost it. And he beat Tony Yonka. They're thinking, well, you know what? Tony Yonka, no disrespect to him because I like the guy, but he's an unfulfilled talent. You know what I mean? After winning Olympic gold medal. I beat Carlos Takam, but everybody beats Carlos Takam. They do. Now they do. But I've never seen no one lay hands on Carlos Takam like that.
Bakole did,
Right? Well, I was ringside for that in Saudi Arabia. I mean, big up Gold Star Promotion at Turkey Al Sheikh because they flew me out. Right? That was not nice to see. He put hands on him like he was an evangelical preacher. So I just got to be real. You can't. Martin Bakole is real. And not only that, let me also say a massive, massive big up to Billy Nelson, right?
Just about to mention him,
Yeah, Billy Nelson gets a lot of flack, even though like he's a professional troll himself. I couldn't believe it. Billy Nelson came on our show yesterday, and Billy Nelson told me he's 56 years old, right? I'm gonna be real with you. I always, if they said he was 65, and I said, oh, yeah, cool. I never knew that Billy Nelson is only 6 years older than me. I just look so good for my age. It's just crazy. I'm just blessed by Allah, God, the true living God. Nah, but I'm joking, Bill. But massive big up to Billy Nelson. See, let me tell you this. As you know, I do a lot of work for the charity Al Madina 313. And when we did this homeless drive, and Billy saw that I was doing it, phoned me up, said, Spencer, give me a bank deal. He sent me over some money for me to help the homeless, right? Then on yesterday, he said, Spencer, remember we spoke about that thing? He didn't want to, I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, well, he said, after Martin's next fight, we're going to get a good fight. It was actually this fight he was talking about. He said, after I'm going to sort you out some proper money to do the feed. I said, it's better than that, Billy. Why don't you and Martin come and help me on the homeless feed? So Martin Bakole and Billy Nelson are going to come down and help me on the homeless feed for the Al Madina 313. And I think that's why I got a lot of time for those gentlemen. Good guy, Billy Nelson, mate. You know what I mean?
I agree, mate.
Even though he does look like he eats his own bogey, he's got that face in it. You know
No, I agree. That's a great touch from there, man. And
big up Billy Nelson, man.
Yeah. Just before we do close this off, is there anyone else who's impressive on the card? Obviously, Rayo Valenzuela getting a good win over Pitbull Cruz. Jarrell Miller looked quite good in his return. Obviously, not getting a decision, but anything else that you sort of main takeaways from the weekend?
You know what? Venezuela shocked me because I didn't think he was going to beat Pitbull Cruz. Right? I thought he'd fiddle around for a little bit, and Pitbull Cruz will find him out. But that's the thing. When you have this, is how it goes. When you're in with a guy who can bang, you get hit a couple of times early on, right? And you know what happens as the fight goes on, you adjust to their power. Yeah. And that's what happened. And not only that, but Venezuela was riding a lot of the shots, so he weren't taking them full throttle. You know what I mean? He did his homework and fair play to him. And he was doing this. He was fighting off of a 3-second count. Yeah. Like Pitbull would throw, and you make sure you got 3 seconds to throw your shot, then move off, which is very, very clever. So he did.
Yeah.
I tell you, used to do the 3 second count a lot. A guy called Hector Camacho, 4 world champions. See, I'm giving all these little nuggets. You lot can go and check these out.
No,
but 3 second counts. 3 second counts is like you're in there in the ring with a guy, and you know they can bang, and you ride shots, but you make sure you've only got a 3 second window to throw your shots because that will impress the judges back. And that's what he did. And fair play to him. He got the win. Fair play to him. Yeah, but my heart goes out to Big Baby Miller, simply because, and I do believe that forgiveness is the key, right? I remember that, with all the peds and everything that was inside of him, like Big Baby Miller had so much drugs in him. If he took a piss, he could open 10 Boots chemists. It was that bad. But how he's tried to restructure himself, and I rate the fact that he just fought a former heavyweight world champion, and he's come straight back after giving a really good fight against Daniel Dubois, knowing that what Daniel Dubois has gone on to do. Daniel Dubois got that excellent win over Hrgovic, and Daniel Dubois is IBF heavyweight champion. And you were hanging with Daniel Dubois, and I rate the fact that you lost 40 pounds to get down to weight. You looked very, very good. You was fighting. That was a decent fight. It wasn't a brilliant fight. It was a decent fight. But yeah, fair play to him. And I would like to know where Andy Ruiz goes from here, because he busted his hand really bad as well. But Andy Ruiz knows in his hearts of hearts that he did not win that fight. Big Baby Miller won that fight. And let's just be real. But I don't want to call it karma. In Islam, we call it qadar. And qadar means the will of God. I do believe that it was like for the indiscretion of your past. Maybe that's why you never got the win, because maybe things would have gone to your head, and maybe that happened to you to humble you, because you've been humbled already. But to humble you, if Big Baby Miller stays in shape and keeps his mindset, he's a good fighter, and there's gonna be some good fights for him. But what I would like to see, maybe Big Baby Miller could get because like Martin Bakole's already beat one big baby. Maybe he can fight this other big baby. So you know what I mean? Because I'd like to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But when I speak to Billy Nelson yesterday, he was saying like they're looking for the Zhang fight, and hopefully that would be an excellent fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would.
That would be an excellent fight.
Absolutely, yeah. Just before I do let you go, I did want to sort of get your thoughts and give a shout out to, obviously, I know you're good mates with Tunde. He had Joel Kodua making his boxer debut. He was impressed. I don't know if you got to watch his fight. I was impressed with his performance.
You know what? Joel Kodua, he reminds me of a fighter called James Schuler, right? He was former NFBA middleweight champion, right? Back in the 80s, lost to Tommy Hearns, right? No, Tommy Hearns smacked him up terribly, right? And that's who he reminds me of. That was in 86, that fight. Bloody hell. The things that I know, son.
Right? Mate, you're giving a lot today,
Yeah. So I would say Joe Kodua does remind me of him. Even kind of face, he looks like him. He's got a kind of awkward style. And I'm just happy for the young man, because he's actually really, really given his life to this thing here. So I'm very, very impressed with, and it's nice that he's on boxing now as well. It's really good for him. So I have to big up those guys. Big up Johnny Wish, who's my guy. And let's see where he goes on from now. You know what I mean? Because he's a decent young pro, and he's such a gentleman. He's so respectful. You know what I mean? So I wish that when I see them young men who are so respectful, I just want them to win anyway. But the mere fact they are demonstrating that respect, your personality shapes your reality, and his reality is going to be really bright.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. As always, Spencer, a real pleasure to speak to you, mate. I do appreciate you taking time to speak to you on this Monday morning. As always, mate, take care, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to go work now, so that's the end of the video. All right, gentlemen.
I appreciate it, mate. Top man. Thank you.